everyone, and welcome to issue number 20. Hey, guys, what's 9 plus 10?
21.
There you go.
Yeah. I'm smart.
Issue 21 of the monthly Dive into the Longbox. We got another movie review, hence why you hear another voice joining us here. We got Sanaid joining me and Ajax here, as
Hello.
he usually does. We like to expose Sanaid to not only the good superhero stuff, but also the bad. And looking back, a lot of it's been the bad, maybe besides Gen 13.
Yeah.
That was actually good. It really
Yeah.
was.
We went from bad to good to on the surface level bad, but there are some gems in our product this week.
Yes.
Very true, very true. Before we get into that, we did review Generation X, so we will be talking about that. But before we get into that, you guys can listen back to our October episode. We talked about Halloween themed heroes and villains, and then we reviewed Spawn #1, which is a very legendary book in comics. Sold way too many copies, and it's still kind of expensive to buy even today. Shockingly.
Which makes no sense.
Yeah, you would think it'd be so much cheaper because it was everywhere.
Well, it was exactly. It was so overprinted. It sold like 2 million copies.
Which is crazy. Imagine that selling now, dude. That's nuts. Yeah. So go listen to that if you haven't already. Before we get into this, I did go to Rhode Island Comic Con recently, guys, and shockingly, I didn't buy a lot of books. I actually didn't buy a lot of things there. It was mostly a Justine Comic Con. She went and met all these celebrities and all that. One thing that was cool is they had a Blockbuster pop-up. Ajax, did you guys have a Blockbuster near you?
About 40 minutes away from me, but I used to go to it almost every weekend.
Was there a Canadian maple leaf in the middle of the logo?
No, it was just a regular logo.
Wow. All
So
right.
They had a pop-up one at Rhode Island Comic Con, and it had stuff from the last one that exists, the one they did that documentary on.
Oh, the one in Oregon.
Yeah, they have stuff
Yeah.
from that location. So they had the actual checkout desk. They had an actual computer, and the computer screen had an imprinted, it was burned into the monitor of the clock out and clock in screen for the workers, which is pretty cool. So you could see that. They had a couch with popcorn. They had pinball machines. They also had the machines where you put the quarters in, you get a tattoo or a trading card.
Oh.
But they were the ones from Blockbuster, where the pull to hold it up was the Blockbuster logo that they used to have back in the day. They had the chips, they had not the chips, they had the candy, the popcorn you could buy. It was super cool. But most importantly, they had shelves of things you could buy for $5 each. They had things ranging from the year 1980 something all the way up to 2010, 2011, maybe 2013. Because I picked up two things. I picked up Inception. Oh, it's blurry for you guys. I picked up Inception.
Oh, dirty magazine.
Right there. Oh, it's not gonna. For people that don't know, I got them in a call here so they can see what I'm showing off. There we go. I got Inception. It has the Blockbuster sticker there from 2011, February 20th, 2011. But I feel like I got kind of played because I opened it. There's no disc. But what was worth it is that I opened it and looked to the side. It's a Blockbuster case.
Oh, yeah.
It's the custom Blockbuster cases they had towards the end. So I'm oh, okay, that's kind of worth it. That's cool. Whatever. I already have the DVD, so I don't really care. But this was a cool one I picked up. It was just sitting on the shelf, $5. Spider-Man 1, the VHS tape.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Still
wow.
with the Blockbuster sticker. But the best part, please be kind and rewind.
Yeah.
It's still on there from Blockbuster. So I was okay, that was cool. It's worth the $5 each, And my thought process was, let me support this because maybe they'll come back to more cons and bring cooler stuff. Because I immediately went to the video games, and I was yo, if I don't see Backyard Wrestling, or if I don't see what was the one with the alien where he kills all the humans?
Destroy all humans.
Destroy all humans. Destroy all humans. If I was if I don't see those two here, this isn't real. And I didn't see them, sadly. But it was a bunch of
Ponies.
they had FIFA,
Hey,
for the
damn, which
PS2.
one?
Whichever one for the PS2. I don't know. I almost bought a FIFA game, and I almost bought. There was a bunch of golf games, and I was all right, do they have Hot Shot Golf for the PSP? They didn't. They had some PSP movies though, which I was like, oh, that's cool.
Man, I love those.
Yeah. But I left all that stuff because it wasn't like my childhood stuff, you know. If it was something from my childhood, I would have got it. But once I saw these two, I was like, yeah, it's a movie that's one of my top favorites. And Spider-Man on VHS, so can't say no to that. And when I saw the Please Be Kind
is one of your favorites
listen, what, one of my favorite heroes?
movies.
Oh,
one of my favorite movies, and then Spider-Man. Disrespected it. Not a real comic book fan. Exposed.
listen, my favorite comic book movie is The Crow. All right.
All right. It's fair.
But Spider-Man is up there. I love Spider-Man. I especially love Spider-Man 2 because what's his name's in it from Joe Rogan's podcast. What the hell is his name that does the coke?
Joey Diaz.
Joey Diaz is in it.
You want to
He's
get
one-
through him?
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
gotta go through me,
yeah.
cocksucker.
So
Tell me
yeah,
the name of fuck it.
fuck it. But I did end up buying. I did get a signature when I was there. Fabian DeCisa signed my Deadpool 1. This is actually a book we
Circle
reviewed.
Chase.
Yeah, we reviewed
Yes, it
this
is.
book on our show. And
I like the whole miniseries actually.
yeah, you read the whole miniseries.
I did, yeah.
I read just number 1. I really liked it. I met Fabian. He was super cool. I forgot that like how much he's done for Marvel over the years because people are going there with stacks of books. I was like, holy shit. Like Night Thrasher. I was like, oh, I forgot he does him. Like he created him.
Not just that, he was also a big part of when Acclaim bought Valiant.
Mhm.
He was a big part in that as well
Was
because they
he?
had brought him on board. Yeah.
Well, it was cool because he was kind of like complaining about Marvel when I went up. It was like when you talk to like a pro wrestler and they tell you about like, oh, this guy screwed me over. They didn't let me get this promo. It was like that. He's like, yeah, they cut my script. That's why I left. Like they brought me back on for something and they cut everything I wrote. So I vowed to never write for them again. He's talking about like he doesn't read any comic books anymore. He's so out of it because he just doesn't like comics right now. Like he got burnt on it. He writes like
That's a shame.
regular. Yeah, he writes
It's
like
a
actual
shame.
novels, like superhero novels. And he had
Okay.
one there you could buy, but he was still very like positive, happy, super nice. I was getting annoyed. The dude in front of me though was taking fucking forever. He was one of those guys that just wants to talk and ask questions about everything, and I'm like, dude, hurry the fuck up. Justine has to meet the Twilight cast. Hurry up. We gotta go. So, but no, he was super cool. He thanked me and Justine for waiting and all that, and it was a good time. Sinead, whenever you watch Deadpool and he's cracking jokes and breaking the fourth wall, it's because of this guy. He's the one that gave Deadpool that sense of humor. Rob Liefeld made the look and had a part in it, but Fabian was the writer, and he is the one that really gave him his character. So
But if you talk to Rob came up with everything by himself.
yeah, he'll
Fabian
claim ownership.
Didn't contribute anything.
Yeah, he claims ownership over everything. But Fabian's
which is so fucking ridiculous.
he's the one, like this book, he's dropping references, cracking jokes, like and all that. So Fabian's the one that really gave him all that.
Shout out Fabian.
And then the only other thing I really bought, I bought some figures. I bought like a rocket, like the Rocketeer. I bought a Rocketeer figure for fun. But then they had stuff they're giving away for charity, and I was like, all right, I'll give some money for charity. You could buy like movie stuff, and for some reason it was X-Files.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, dude, my dad he bought me like the X-Files like thumbprint stuff back in the day and all that. Like, so I was like, oh, that's cool. There was trading cards, collectibles. I was like, I don't need any of this. And then I saw the legendary wizard half that I collect from
Oh.
Topps. X-Files, the comic book. And I looked at Justine, I go, if it
wow.
has the certificate of authenticity, I'm going to buy it. And it did. So I dropped $15 for charity. Because I only collect these with the certificate. They made a bunch of these over the years. And as long as they have the certificate, I'll buy it for my collection. But yeah, I was like, I don't need X-Files, but I kind of need it for the collection, if that makes sense. So that was really it.
Clean.
It wasn't a big purchasing con for me. I didn't really buy a lot. It wasn't like the other ones I've gone to where I've just spent tons of money, like Terrificon. Tons of money I shouldn't be spending. But besides that, it was a good time. It was a good time. Ajax, have you read anything recently?
I'm actually making my way through the first complete volume of The Darkness.
Oh, you did mention that.
Yeah, I'm about halfway through that.
So now, The Darkness was a very high-selling independent book back in the 90s. Like, up there with, like, it was selling more than Batman and Superman. It was very popular.
Damn.
It had a video game. You may have played it in the past.
Two of them.
The Darkness
Yeah,
video.
had two games. What systems were they on? Xbox 360 and PS3 for the Darkness 1.
I remember this.
Yeah, so that game is based off of that comic.
I'll give you
Oh,
a fun
Darkness
fact.
2 is on Steam. I can get Darkness 2 right now.
It sure is. I'll give you a fun fact, okay? Do you know who voiced the Darkness? Like the entity itself, like in the video games? Mike Patton from Fate No More.
What?
Really?
Yep, that's him. He's
Oh,
doing
shit.
all, like, the
Sick.
crazy vocal screeching from the darkness and all that. That's Mike Patton doing that.
What the hell?
Dude, that's sick.
Yeah, that
I'm
dude.
if
gonna
you-
play this shit.
If
Dude.
you actually listen to him like in the booth, like screeching his eyes out, it's amazing what he can do.
I'm gonna kill you.
He had no reason to be as
Because
pretty as he was
I
back in
am
the
the
90s. I'm gonna be honest.
darkness.
That dude was handsome and it angered me.
Yeah, he's still a good looking guy.
I
even
love
like
when-
in his 50s.
He
I love
sings like
the-
opera and shit now.
Yeah, they were like performing and they all looked like they just left like a weird cult. They were wearing like all white baggy clothes on stage. It was so weird. It looks like they were gonna do like a church show. And you just hear what? I was like, oh, okay. He still sounds the same. It's like, all right, that's cool.
Yeah, that is
Wow.
sick.
Yeah, I never played the Darkness games. Just like, I don't know, there was a lot of
I
comic book
still-
things. I got games. I didn't know they were actually based off the comic. I never knew that.
Well, I think we have to cover the first two games, one of these days. Sometime.
Yeah. Because I remember tons of people playing Darkness game. That was like very popular.
I'll give you a funny story, okay? So when I got my PS3, it
Mhm.
came bundled with the Darkness,
Really?
but it was too scary for me.
I
I was like 11 years old or something
was like,
that.
"No."
So,
Miss me with that shit.
What?
but now, funny, like I'll be 28 soon, and here I am reading Darkness comic books, and I'm like, this is really fun. I wish I would have not been such a pussy at 11 years old.
And it's funny, it was on this show I put two and two together. Like Ajax really like hammered it in because I was like, yeah, The Darkness is a great comic. And then you start talking about the game, and I was like, yeah, there was a game with the same name. You're like, yeah, it's based off of that. You could hear me in like real time being like, oh fuck yeah, it's the same logo. Why did I never put that together?
And I
This-
believe the writer for Bo Games is actually Paul Jenkins, the same
Is
guy
it?
that wrote the Century miniseries
Is it?
that I really love. I love that
Yeah.
miniseries.
I know. What was the other one we found out that I just realized was a comic book one? Shadow Man, right?
Shadow Man, yeah,
Yeah, for the PS1. I didn't know that was based off Shadow Man the comics.
yeah, it's a Valiant comic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you've definitely seen this logo before. For Shadow Man here, it's the one of him holding the skull. I'll show you here. This game for the PS1. I've seen it everywhere, but I just never put it together. That I was like, oh yeah, I thought it was just a very common name, Shadow Man. It's not very,
Well, not just Shadow Man.
That's not
I
good.
wonder how many people realize that Turok, like the video games, is also a comic book.
Yeah, that one I always thought it was flipped. I thought it was when I was younger. Well, before I started getting into the Turok books, I always thought it was Turok the game came, and then the book came after. I always thought, and I was wrong.
The Turok games were really popular as well.
Oh hell yeah, dude! Turok ruled.
Okay.
What
I'm
happened?
I'm looking through the Darkness Wikipedia. First off, kind of a crazy cast. Kirk
Right?
Aceve. I don't know how you say his name, but this guy was in a bunch of stuff. Let me see. Yeah.
Here,
Kirk. Yeah. Kirk. He always plays like either Italians or
Oh, that's-
Puerto Ricans.
That's the guy who voices Jackie, right? Jackie
Yeah.
Estacado. Yeah.
Yeah. Dwight Schultz. And then, yeah, as you said, Mike Patton. And then I'm looking through, and then it talks about how they showed the entirety of To Kill a Mockingbird within the game.
They do.
really?
Yeah, they do.
You can just watch a whole movie inside the game.
You can sit down like at Jackie's apartment and just watch To Kill a Mockingbird.
That's crazy.
That's hilarious.
So now it's about to buy Darkness now.
Also,
Oh,
wait,
I still have my PS3
a
too. I wonder if
full-
I could get it for
Full
cheap.
episode of Flash Gordon, the film Street Fighter, and cartoon shots of Popeye.
What?
Dude, I'm gonna just buy this game and watch TV in it. It sounds awesome.
Oh, D. Bradley Baker's in it too. I didn't know that. D. Bradley Baker is like known for doing a bunch of like he was all of the clone troopers in Star Wars, the animated stuff, like
Yeah,
Clone Wars and all that.
so much work.
Yeah, he does that. He was in like Family Guy and all that, and American
Hell
Dad.
yeah.
Very famous voice actor. I didn't know he was in that too. Wow, damn, this is a crazy cast. Lauren Ambrose. Why does that sound familiar? I don't know why she sounds familiar. I've probably seen her in something like a horror movie or something. But yeah, so
Brother
Darkness
D.
is something that you've been reading.
Yeah, I've really been enjoying it too. The complete like volume like sets are really really easy to read through.
Yeah.
The artwork is remastered, so that's nice as well.
Oh hell yeah.
It's not like I'm reading direct scans from the comic books of the 90s. These are like really nice high quality scans, and you can tell
Yeah.
the artwork has been remastered.
You did say that the dialogue is a little dated though. Very 90s-esque dialogue.
It's very dated when Jackie's still like in his womanizer phase.
Mm-hmm.
So just to reiterate for Sinide, so like the wielder of the darkness has to be celibate, and he has to be
Ooh.
celibate because if he sleeps with a woman, he dies, and then the woman dies.
Damn.
But then,
Worth it.
They're still worth the take.
but then if they have a son, the son basically becomes the wielder of the darkness on his 21st birthday.
Ah,
Because Jackie became the wielder of the darkness on his 21st birthday because he didn't know that his dad Danny was the wielder of the darkness prior to him.
Congrats, son. You cannot get any pussy for the rest of your life.
And it's really funny
Aw,
because
damn.
so there's they call themselves the Brotherhood of the Darkness, and they're literally like druids that have a hangout like underneath the Statue of Liberty. Like underneath the
Awesome.
like 500 feet down the Statue of Liberty, you've got these fucking druids who are like, "Oh, we worship the darkness, my brother. Come see the light."
And dude, Darkness is coming back. It's popular again. We kind of touched on it last month where there was a giant display at New York Comic Con of Darkness and Witchblade. So like it's making a comeback, especially with these Kickstarters they're doing to like reboot all like the collected editions and like continue them on. It's popular still. They rebooted Witchblade. I would like to see them do it with Darkness. I think that'd be really cool.
I would like to see too, and you get like quite a bit of Witchblade as well in the complete first collection of the Darkness. Like Sarah shows
They
up.
go hand in hand.
Yeah, Sarah shows up quite a bit. Well, it's because Jackie's first appearance was actually in Witchblade.
And this is the
That was his
funny
first
part
appearance.
too that I think Sonata will get a kick out of. It's in Darkness you have to be celibate. In Witchblade, it looks the same. It's like this metallic like like the symbiote on Venom Sinide, how like it crawls up his face.
Yeah.
It's like that, but it's like metal armor on her. But
Mm.
for some reason, whenever the Witchblade is on her, she's horny all the time. It's like the
Man,
opposite of
that's
like she's
similar.
always horny, and that's still a thing in the new book. Like she talks about how horny she is all the time. Like this dude breaks into her apartment in the new book and cracks an egg yolk in his hand, and she's watching it drip, and she's talking about how like horny she is. Watching him crack an egg, and she's like,
Now
"It's
that's-
so moist." I'm like, "What the fuck
That's
am I reading?"
That's the universe to live in with this Darkness one.
And they
Now,
cross over a lot
here's-
too.
Here's an important question about the Darkness.
Okay.
What if the wielder of the Darkness is gay?
I mean, he could have sex with guys. I think.
There you go.
I actually think he could.
Damn,
That's how
That's
you
a
break,
loophole.
that's how
I
you
don't
break
f-
the chain.
I don't think they actually
Whoa.
explored that in the comic.
I
But
think they
Oh,
should
it's-
now.
It's a good
I think-
question to
I think-
ask.
I think they are looking over an incredible market, an incredible storyline.
So
to
now it's
go
cracking
down.
the code.
In the second issue, when the Brotherhood like tells Jackie like, "Hey, like now that you're the wielder of darkness, like you can't have sex." And I mean, I know your whole identity is basically just like this fucking mobster who kills people and just fucks every girl you want to. But like, if you fuck every girl you want to, you're just gonna die.
Yeah.
And he's like, "I can't have sex at all." They're like, "No, like not at all." And then he drops down to his knees and he lets out this like Darth Vader, like, "No."
I think it's a great yin and yang
Same.
too with him and Witchblade, where like she's always hot and ready to go, and he's like, "I can't." Like,
then
must be
later-
nice.
But then later on, they're like, oh, actually, you can have sex, but like you have to like create the woman yourself.
Well, this is what I'm curious about.
Mm.
So for Witchblade, her like the thing attached to her protects her so she doesn't die. What
Yeah.
if he sleeps with the wielder of the Witchblade? Will it just kill him? These are these questions I need answered.
It's a fascinating question to ask.
Yeah. This is what we sound like. We sound like Brody and Mallrats when he's talking to Stan about the superheroes' penises. We're like, all right, but what if he fucks like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if it's like
I'm
a
just going-
fleshlight? Like,
I'm just going up to the dude. He's like, all right, how about this? They cut off his dick at birth. That way he never fucks.
that's crazy.
And he's like, I'm just trying to enjoy my Auntie Anne's, man. Leave me alone.
Wasn't Darkness supposed to get a live action show too at one point, or like a movie?
Yeah, he was supposed to get a movie.
Yeah, and it's crazy too because Witchblade got a live action TV show tonight, so that's something we may review in the future at some point.
Which was on TNT, and it did
was.
really well when
It
it
did.
aired.
It was very popular
Really?
too. Yeah. It was what's her name that was
Yancy
played-
Butler, I think
yes,
that's her name.
yes, it is. I pulled it up here. Yep, Yancy Butler was Sarah.
Yancey. Is this
Um,
called the Witchblade?
It was just called Witchblade.
Oh, I see.
The only bad thing is they didn't do the full costume. They didn't commit completely because they couldn't.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because her actual costume, she's just basically in a bikini 24, like a thong bikini 24/7. And
Okay.
they couldn't do
Okay.
that, I guess.
One-
But who
one
they
last
got,
thing
she
about the
looked like
darkness,
her.
and I'll move on. When they tell Jackie like, oh hey, like that if you're the darkness, you can create like other, basically like life forms. Because like when he's the darkness, he's got like all these goblins around him
Yeah.
and shit like that. But they tell him like you can create like humans and sentient beings and all that. And Jackie's like, oh cool, okay, so like I can just create a girl and fuck her whenever I want to.
And they're like, yeah, I guess.
Then
so.
they're like, yeah, good luck. It takes about like 100 years to create the perfect woman.
Oh,
Bet. He's like, I need average. That's it.
So
I just need the
Jack-
bottom half.
Jackie's pretty
Just
much
give
like,
me a
"Fuck
week."
you." Jackie's like, fuck you, I'm gonna try anyways. So the first time he tries, he creates this like fucking goblin looking girl in a bikini.
Oh shit! A goblin queen.
And he's like horrified, and all the goblins around him are like, well, it doesn't look that bad to me.
He's like, I'm horrified, but horny. He's so conflicted.
But
Same, brother.
it becomes a really good read, but like in the first, I would say like 3 issues where Jackie's not really the darkness like full time yet, and he's still like this just like mafioso who's just like sleeping with a bunch of girls. The dialogue is kind of cringy at times,
Really?
kind of, but it gets better. It gets a lot better.
Well, you know what doesn't get better? This 3-issue series I read. I talked about it last month. I said I bought it because I got it for $1 in the dollar bin, and now I see why. It was called The Pact.
It's bad, eh?
This is the OG pack. So I didn't read the second volume of the pact, which has like Invincible on the team and some other people.
Right.
And I'm like, that's something I may check out. But this pact, not good. So I can't tell you a single thing I remember from this. I remember this big dude lives with his mom and dad, and he's like a mama and daddy's boy the whole time. This guy is like a spirit ghost who's supposed to be like 60, and they keep calling him old timer. This chick is blind and gets kidnapped and maybe abused by someone in like a hospital. And this guy's a dickhead. Each issue, this one I was like, all right, this one set the pace. And I was like, this isn't bad. And then they brought in Youngblood. See Bad Rock here, and I was like, all right, this issue was not good. It was 20-something pages. It was like 28 pages, 26 of them is them fighting, and the last page is them going, why did we just fight? I don't know. We're on the same team now, and then the book ends. And I'm like, okay. And then the last book is them going after this villain that popped up out of nowhere with huge knockers who kidnaps the blind chick.
Nice.
She kidnaps her violently and, like, puts, like, images in her head.
Wait. Go back to that cover. Does she have fucking skull knee pads?
Yes.
What the hell? That's
Sick.
crazy.
So it's funny too. What they used to do back in the 90s, they would have a letter page where people would send in their letters of what they're thinking about the book, and everyone was talking shit about this design. They were like, "There's too much going on." In the 90s, they were like, "There's too much going on here." They're like, "We don't know what the fuck she is." But then you find out she's not evil, she's good, and then like another evil guy shows up, and then the book just ends. And they weren't planning for this to continue. It was supposed to be 3 issues, and I left the book with more questions than answers, and I just left it like, what the fuck did I just read? And what's so disappointing, it was written by someone who knows what they're doing too, Jim Valentino, who made Shadowhawk and everything in Freak Force. But this just wasn't it. It just wasn't good. It was the first time I read something, and I just literally was like, I don't know why I did that.
You know, everyone's got to have a dud here and there.
Yeah, I don't know. It was not good. What is good though is Absolute Superman. This is really good.
Yeah, so I've heard. Yeah.
So what this is, Sinai, what DC Comics is doing, as you see on your TVs every Wednesday night on Dynamite, they're doing this all-in thing. They're doing all-in and Absolute. Absolute is like where they take the universe and change everything about it besides just the names. So like Superman's Superman, but in the regular world, Superman's world was exploded and he showed up in Kansas, right? In this world, his world was never blown up. And he grew up there as a kid and lived there for years. And then it eventually blows up and he ends up on Earth as an adult, which totally flips everything about Superman on its head. To a point. Because in the regular world, he's like a farm boy, and that's why he's so nice. He's a nice farm boy, grew up with a good family. In this one, he's still a good farm boy who grew up with a nice family, just not on Earth. So it's still basically Superman, but he's a little bit darker now. Like, he shows up to Earth saving people as they're being shot up by a bunch of peacemakers. So it's a bunch of John Cena army guys shooting at, like, innocents, and he's saving them all. So I was scared they were going to make him, like, emo and, like, I hate my life, my world's dead. But he's more just like, my world died, I can't make sure another one dies too. And that's kind of his mindset. So I'm like, all right, it's changed enough where it's still a lot of fun, but it's really good. Highly recommend. They're doing it with a bunch of characters. Batman, Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's an evil witch or not evil, but she's a witch from hell, which is pretty cool. Yeah, she rides a...
Metal.
Damn right it is. She has a giant sword like Cloud has in Final Fantasy. She rides like a skeleton Pegasus around. It's badass, dude. But highly recommend Absolute Superman for anyone reading comics. By the way, shout out LeBron James buying a Batman comic and getting back into comic books.
Man, shut up. LeBron can't read. LeBron thinks it's a fucking picture book.
He also lies a lot.
Yeah, LeBron lies
a lot. He tweeted, he was like, where can I buy comic books? I want to read Batman. And, of course, everyone was in the comments like, go to this store, go to that store. And then, like, 2 months later, he was like, just posted a picture of, like, a Batman graphic novel. And everyone was like, oh!
Yeah, I think it's one of the trades from the Grant Morrison run.
Yeah. I wish he got Cordovalis.
He would just be on Instagram like, yeah, I remember, buying Batman, the first one in the store when it first came out,
Yeah, there's a big meme surrounding LeBron where he says stuff like, oh, yeah, man, like, I remember getting that so-and-so. Like, he said that he was listening to Migos in 2011, and Migos had only put out their first album in, like, 2014 or something like that.
He's Hulk Hogan of basketball.
Yeah, you wouldn't be surprised if he was like, yeah, I was in the office with Stan Lee. I gave him inspo for Spider-Man, and and I said I didn't want any royalties or credits. Stan.
I told him to take that Mallrats gig.
My favorite one is the one where he said the night that Kobe dropped like 82 points. LeBron did an interview. He was like, "Man, when I was watching that game, I told my friends, I was like, Kobe's gonna drop 82 points." It's like you to
the exact amount.
Like, come on, man.
Oh, man. But the last thing before we get into the movie review, I picked up a Grail for myself. So there's multiple series of Super Patriot. I've talked about it on this show. I love Super Patriot. I think he's such a cool character. He's like a former Army veteran who was blown up and also was a superhero for the Army. And he was blown up. Only parts of his body remain, so he's like half robot, half human. And I got the graphic novel of one of the series. I bought the first 3 issues of his miniseries, and then I found out there was another one called War on Terror, which getting those issues, dude, is like you have to spend. First of all, issue 1 impossible to find. Issue 2 is like a $40 book, and issue 3 doesn't exist online.
Really? Okay.
So it's so hard to find, and out of nowhere, I get a notification on Mercari because I saved it because I was like, I needed War on Terror eventually, and I got the notification. It was like a new listing has been posted, and it was someone selling issue 1 of War on Terror, like a perfect copy, for like $10. Bro, I added that to my cart so fucking fast. I was like, bro, this is nowhere online. Like, I can't even find it. I could just find the image of the cover. Like, I'm pretty sure you could find, like, scannings of it online, I think. But even then, it might be hard to find. I'm not too sure. I haven't really looked into it. But, yeah, I was like, bro. And I signed on to that hella quick. For people that don't know, the artist for this is the one who drew Invincible as well. So, that's why it kind of looks like, for anybody that's seen Invincible, it looks like the Invincible cartoon. But, yeah. He actually shows up. He's supposed to show up in the Invincible show, and they cut him out, sadly. But
licensing issues?
I'm guessing so. Mark's mom goes to meet with in the show. She meets with her. She has like dinner with like a woman whose husband's a superhero, and in the book, her husband is Super Patriot, and he shows up and brings her lunch while they're talking, and that's how Mark's mom finds out, and then tells her, I was married to Omni-Man. But it was cool because in the Invincible book that happens. And then in the Super Patriot book, the same scene happens in a different art style of the same exact thing of him bringing her the lunch, which is funny. So it kind of crossed over to the same scene at one point. But I love Super Patriot.
Because the book has a ton of image crossovers.
Oh yeah, the funeral issue had a ton. Savage Dragon was in that. Shadowhawk showed up in that. There was a ton of people. They hinted at Spawn in one issue. They showed his cape.
It sucks because they won't be able to do that for the show.
Nope. Unfortunately, like they already had the funeral episode, and it wasn't no one was there, and I was like, God damn it, it's bullshit, absolute bullshit. But my goal now, I just need the last 2 issues of War on Terror, and issue 3 is gonna be a bitch to find. I'm not looking forward to trying to find that issue, but we'll see what happens. Oh man, but guys, we watched a movie recently. We learned
we sure did.
We learned about what it's like to be a mutant in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
We watched Generation X, which is technically a pilot. It's technically a pilot for a show, but I was telling Sonata, I'm like, this seemed way too long to be a pilot.
From what I understand is that it was a pilot, and if it did well, they were gonna make more TV movies, but it was never gonna be a show.
Oh, okay.
They just wanted to do like maybe a TV movie like every quarter or something
this was
like that.
This was supposed to be like the High School Musical of Fox.
Kind of.
I will say there is a version of this you can watch. By the way, Generation X available on YouTube for free for everyone to watch. Came out February 20th, 1996. There is an original, me and Snide found this. There's an original airing of Generation X someone taped, which has all of the 90s commercials. It has like the show leading into the premiere of Generation X.
The Mardi Gras special.
Yeah, dude, it has all of that taped.
You already know.
Dude, it was so fucking cool. I'm gonna rewatch it.
I wish it would have been the copy that I watched, because the one that I watched, it was so fucking blurry.
Yeah, mine was a bit blurry. That one was even blurrier though, because it was like they pulled it right from the tape. But I was like, it's kind of worth it for the old commercials, But I did hear some of the funny lines we heard in this were cut from the TV release.
Oh, okay.
So we wouldn't have gotten some things like the scene at the carnival that was allegedly cut from the TV release, the US TV premiere. So I do have to check to confirm that, though. I did not look back to confirm, but that's what I saw on IMDb.
So that means it aired like uncensored at one point, probably at night.
Yeah, I mean they're dropping F-bombs in this, so it must have.
Yeah, that was with the amount of questionable things in the movie. I was like, how is this a TV movie?
Yeah.
And then I saw the IMDb of it, and it was like TV PG, and I'm like, how? They were just really lenient back then, or what?
TV PG meant something different in the 90s. You could get away with more stuff.
Apparently.
Well, I will say this movie is higher rated than Madam Web on IMDb. Madam Web has a 4 out of 10, and IMDb gives Generation X a 4.4 out of 10, boys.
Oh.
And I will say, I would rewatch this way more times than watching Madam Web, even a second time.
I wouldn't say that I particularly enjoyed Generation X, but I would definitely watch it again over Madam Web. Because
Yes.
I saw Madam Web in theaters, it was awful.
I
knew what I was getting myself into.
Yeah, I didn't see it in theaters. I saw it purposefully on streaming, which I'm going to do with the Crow sequel, I decided, because it's already out of theaters. But I will say, Ajax, I know you don't drink, but this is a movie I would definitely rewatch again with some beers and some buddies that have never seen this before. Like, like if we pulled up, had some drinks, some wings and pizza, watched some Generation X and laughed, hell yeah.
Take a shot every time Emma Frost stares into the camera.
Well, the movie starts here with an opening I think is kind of cool. It gives a definition of what a mutation is. It talks about how it's the act of being altered or changed, kind of laying the groundwork in this like realistic look at Generation X. You know, this whole world, this Marvel universe that they started to make. We then see these creepy doctors that are performing some surgery on a man on a table, and he has like dinosaur hands. You know, like the ones you'd get as a kid, where like you go like, nah, like hand puppets. I don't know what this fucker's mutation was. He was just like half dinosaur, I guess. He had like T-Rex arms.
I thought the first 2 minutes of this movie was a fucking horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then as they're about to like saw into this guy, 2 men in like duster jackets come in to arrest the mutant for not being registered. I'm like, hasn't this man been through enough? They're like, sorry, we can't have you kill him on this table. He's not registered. We need to, send him back to where he came from. Put him in jail. And then we see this woman walk in. We find out who she is later on, but this blonde-haired woman walks in. She's unhappy with the doctors, and she gets so angry enough that she summons the power of lights and exploding light bulbs to threaten them. She like puts her arms up. Over. Yeah, and everything's like crashing, and the guys just look a little like more like perturbed than anything, like a little annoyed that she just made a mess.
Yeah,
a little inconvenienced.
Yeah, like thanks, bitch. Now all the stuff we sanitized is dirty. And now we jump 5 years later. Hey, vato! We meet Angelo Espinosa, who is in the comic books known as Skin.
He is. Mm-hmm.
He is. Who's leaving his house, man. He's dapping up his brother. I forgot what his brother's name was. They said it. Yeah. And he's got a very colorful house. By the way, there's a big emphasis on bright colors in this movie. I don't know if they're trying to like replicate comic books with bright colors, but there's a lot of them in this movie. Like Batman and Robin levels of bright neon colors at some points. We see him leaving, and his parents are like, they're saying goodbye to him. They're like, "Bye, hijo, we love you." Bye, mijo. And his sister grabs his hand, and he starts driving away. He's like, ah! And his arm's being stretched out, and his sister just doesn't let go. Like, bitch, let go of his hand. He's screaming.
He's fucking stretching his arm all across the fucking block.
Turning him into laughing.
Yelping in pain like the fucking dog who got shot.
And what's funny is they show her after, and she's not like, "Ooh, I'm sorry." She just looks like there's just no emotion on her face.
She looks so indifferent about it. She's like, "Oh, okay."
Like, yeah, I just did that. Oh man. So they drive out. They start driving, and we see the scientist tweaking the fuck out. We actually find out his name is Russell, and it is the same doctor from the beginning of the movie, sawing into the dinosaur guy. He says he's gonna be like Freddy Krueger, and he's gonna make a machine to enter people's dreams. It's like, whoa.
Almost like Inception.
We're the Dream Warriors. Could Generation X also be called Dream Warriors?
Yeah. I would just like to point out that the actor who plays Russell Trash, I think it's Frewer. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He played Max Headroom. He's the original
He's
actor
Max
for Max
Headroom?
He's Max Headroom.
Holy shit.
That's him.
Oh my god. I didn't even put that together.
Mm-hmm.
Dude,
That's
Max
him.
Headroom rules.
I know, yeah.
Now I see why he was so animated in this.
But it's like the directors were like, hey, can you channel fucking Riddler from Batman Forever?
Yeah.
Like, can you do that?
I was just gonna say, man, they were like, do your best Jim Carrey.
Like as over the top as you
I
can.
actually-
Never
in
take
this-
anything seriously.
In this review, I called him Timu Jim Carrey. So yeah, he's talking about going into people's dreams, and luckily he's talking to an investor in the office, and this guy's like, Russell, are you good, bro? Like, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, Russell's basically just a loose cannon. But eventually he talks this investor out of, like, not believing him of what his plan is, and he's like, what, you don't trust me? And I guess the guy eventually just comes around and is like, all right, fine, like, if you can make this happen, okay, let's keep it between us.
At one point he goes, brainwaves, Bobby boy, nothing you'd understand.
Then we see what is the coolest nightclub of all time, and a place I want to go to, like, yesterday.
Yes.
This
Yes.
nightclub has booze, it has smokes, and it has
Yep.
fighting arcade games. Okay, he mentions Virtua Fighter, but was this Tekken she was playing or Virtua Fighter?
No, it's Virtua Fighter 2.
It's
It's
Virtua Okay,
Fighter 2.
because I looked quick and I wasn't sure, so I was like, all right, so it is Virtua Fighter.
Not only that, they mentioned Virtua Fighter like 3 or 4 times.
They
in this
must
movie.
they must have had like some sort of deal
I
with
think
Fox.
Sega was like, "Hey guys, like, can you sponsor us for
Can you imagine
couple references?"
Can you imagine if in their deal Sega was like, you have to make a movie that mentions us at least 3 times, and they came up with, oh wait, we should do Generation X. That book's doing busters right now. Hell yeah, dude! We see Jubilee, one of the most famous characters from X-Men the Animated Series. Everyone loves Jubilee, and I gotta be honest, I loved her in this too. She's like in this movie, she's like a no nonsense, I don't give a fuck type of character. But at some points she is kind of like confusing to like.
I didn't hate her, Heather McComb, the actress. I didn't hate her performance, but I just find it so jarring that you're casting someone who's white
Who?
to
Yeah,
play Jubilee.
yeah.
Like,
Her name is literally
she's a-
Jubilation Lee.
she's a predominantly Asian character.
Yeah.
Shaking my head.
So yeah, she's playing a Virtua Fighter 2, and Russell shows up in this bar. First of all, what is the age gap to be in this bar? Can we find out Jubilee's 15, and this Russell dude's like in his mid to late 30s, at least. And he's just they're smoking in this place and having drinks. So like, I get it. 96 was a different time, but the hell. So Russell shows up and he's looking around, and we see Jubilee playing Virtua Fighter, and he says, "Play more, kitty, play more," as his face shows up on the screen. And Jubilee's like, "What the fuck was that?" And then her hands just start going crazy. She's hitting crazy combos, crazy combo breakers.
Dicko mode.
Insane.
She
dude.
starts going
She would have
crazy.
walked out of every tournament as champion. And she starts blowing up the machine, which is cool because that's actually very reminiscent of the animated series when she's playing the arcade machine and she blows it up by accident because of her powers. So it's kind of like a little bit of a callback there, which I think is cool.
That's right.
To her first appearance in the books and the animated series. But yeah, she explodes this machine with her sparkler powers. And then after that, they're like, yo, we need to get this bitch. So they start chasing her. And Jubilee runs, and she gets caught by these feds that are trying to take down these mutants.
She gets caught by ice.
Yeah, basically, yeah. They're like, we need to get this bitch out of this place.
Nice.
Mutant ice, dude.
That's fucking funny.
And yeah, then she blows. She starts like setting off sparklers, and she's like, ah. And then we see the same blonde woman from earlier waking up out of bed, and we see Cerebro, and it's telling us about Jubilee and how she's in danger at her location and she needs help. And
Man, I didn't even pick up on that she was wearing a Cerebro.
Yeah, so on the
That's-
screen just said so this is the thing. Cerebro's the headpiece you wear, right? You know what I mean? To like
yeah.
lock in. This was just a computer system named Cerebro.
That's
just-
that's right.
That
That's
just
right.
wakes you up out of bed to say, "Hey, there's a mutant in danger."
But kind of fascinating though, because that's the first like at least live action reference that Cerebro exists.
Yeah, yep. And at that point, they cut back to Jubilee, and she's in prison now. And her mom is like, "What's your problem, Jubilee?" She's like, "I'm a mutant, Mom." And she's like, "Well, why didn't you tell me?" And she's like, "I don't know." And she's like, "Well, what the fuck?" And she's like, "Well, can I ever be normal?" And she's like, "No, you're a freak." And then she hugs her and consoles her. Jubilee cries. And then they cut back to this blonde woman, and she goes, "Wake up, lover." And she wakes up her little Irish man, saying they have to pick up Jubilee.
Oh, man.
I will be saying their names when they say them, by the way, so because these people are revealed. Were you gonna say something?
Nah. I was
He's
getting
not
a
Irish,
bit
he's
ahead.
Scottish, goddammit.
Oh, sorry.
Wait, he's supposed to be Scottish?
He is, yeah.
That's even worse because just
I
a terrible act. I don't know if the actor's actually Irish or Scottish, but
No, the so Jeremy Ratchford, the guy who well, I'm just gonna spoil it for King.
Yeah.
Jeremy Ratchford, the actor who plays Banshee, is also the voice for Banshee in the X-Men cartoon.
Yep.
Same guy, but he's Canadian. He's from Kitchener.
oh, that explains it.
And is
They
Banshee
can never
supposed
do
to be?
anything right.
Is Banshie? What is he supposed to be?
Because
I've
I
never
thought he was
known
doing
to be.
an Irish accent.
Like Banshee, is Banshee supposed to be Irish or Scottish?
No, he's Scottish.
He's Scottish. Okay, I mean, because
Yeah,
in
he's
the
Scottish.
books they just like abbreviate to sound like an accent, but I don't fucking know how to read an accent in a comic book. I still don't to this day. I try to read Rogue, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, yeah, sugar. Like, I don't know. I can never
No, I
tell in
love-
comic books.
I love when they write in Gambit's patois. He's like his slang.
Yeah,
That always makes me laugh.
That is probably the only accent in a book I can hear in my head because of the cartoon,
Oh,
but
no,
now
wait, he is-
especially because of the movie.
Holy shit! I'm so confused. So he is Irish.
Oh,
I
is
thought
he
he was
Irish?
Scottish for some reason. Yeah.
Okay. I can never
Okay.
tell. I wasn't sure, but I okay, that
Still a
makes sense.
terrible accent.
Still, yeah. Either
feel-
way, the fact that we don't know,
I
that's a
feel-
problem.
I feel like there's been different portrayals of Banshee where he's been both Irish
Yeah.
and both Scottish, so I'm very confused by it.
Well, we find out because Jubilee's a mutant, she's technically what she did was a terrorist act. We're told by the feds when her mom's trying to bail her out, and they're like, "Nope, we have to send her to a mutant camp. She's a terrorist. We got to get her out of here." And as the mom's leaving in sadness, she's met up by who we find out is Sean Cassidy, also known as Banshee from the books, and Emma Frost, who is that blonde we keep mentioning. And they're finally named. They introduce themselves to Jubilee's mom. And by the way, when they're talking to her, dude, the bright fucking colors in the background is so distracting. It's like bright green and bright pink outside. Like, it doesn't make any sense, dude. There's nowhere that looks like that.
It's mutant weather. Ooh.
So, at this point, like,
the actress who plays Emma Frost, her name is Finola Hughes. She joked that she didn't know she was going to take the role because she didn't have big enough boobs to play Emma.
Emma Frost does have some big hands. That is very true.
She does.
She's hot.
She said something along the lines of, "Well, I don't think my 32B would fit in very well."
And they're like, "Don't worry. Sadly, we have to cover you up."
Sadly, yeah.
Yeah.
Because she looks really good in the movie.
So now she's another character that walks around in a corset and a thong all day, with like a little
Yes.
shoulder like what would it be, like a, not a jacket? It's not really a jacket, but it's like a what is it called? Where like it latches in
Too
the front,
much.
but it goes over your shoulders to make you look all proper and elegant. But yeah, so they introduce themselves to her mom, and they eventually convince her that, you know, we have a school for these kind of people, you know, for mutants, to help them train their powers and learn how to control them so they don't have these kind of outbursts. And she's like, "What are you trying to sell me something?" And they're like, "No, we're just trying to help your daughter so she doesn't go to a mutant camp and gets tortured or possibly killed." And the mom was like, "All right, maybe that's a good idea." So she eventually caves in, and Emma and Banshee go into the police department, and they go, "Officers Hootie and Blowfish here," and I immediately started
That was
laughing.
funny.
And the cop's like, yeah, it lines up. And you find out Emma Frost can obviously control people's minds to see whatever she wants them to see. And so he's like, Jubilee, officers Hootie and Blowfish are here for you. And you see Jubilee smile. Like, what the fuck?
By the way, I just want to point out, in this universe, I guess Jubilee was never an X-Men, which is strange to me.
Yeah.
So, because like obviously in the comics, like they find Jubilee like in an abandoned mall, like in Hollywood, and then she becomes an X-Men.
Yep.
And then she leaves the X-Men and becomes a member of Generation X.
Correct.
But she was an X-Men.
Yeah.
That's the point. But in this movie, I guess they find her and then she joins Generation X, which is weird, but
I want to know the rest of the X-Men, like who exists that they got this refresh guy. Like,
here's my theory. My theory is that someone said we need a recognizable name besides Banshee and Emma Frost to be in like this Generation X group, and they just picked Jubilee.
Yeah,
that's my theory.
Yeah, which I get. I mean, even to this day, I'm the first person to say if they're ever to reboot X-Men and they want to do a single movie of a character, I still will die on the hill saying make it a Jubilee movie. I think Jubilee is very relatable, no matter what the generation.
And give Lana Condor another chance to play Jubilee.
Yes, 100%, 100%.
Because she never got her chance in X-Men Apocalypse.
No, she didn't. So yeah, they eventually recruit her and they talk her into. First of all, she does not want to join, whatever this school is. It's like, no, like we're here to help you. Like we have other students and there's another student that we're actually picking up. And she meets Angelo from earlier, and they introduce them together. And Jubilee, she just immediately gets rizzed up by this kid. All he does is look at her, and she's like, Angelo.
Yeah, all he had to say was "Orale."
And then we cut back to Russell's office, and he notifies his boss that he found a level 3 mutant brain when he met Jubilee. And we learn that there's a doorway to this dream dimension. And Russell wants to use mutant brains to access these dreams in that dream dimension, which is a stronger way of doing it than using a machine. If they could just have the brain, they can do it. But then I'm like, do you like put the brain in your own head? Like I don't get his mindset of getting their brain. Like what do you do at that point?
Yeah, you can't get brain from them, dude. They're little children. Like, you're just being
he does
weird.
some questionable things later on.
Yep. Look, it's what we call foreshadowing.
This kind of actually predates if you read like Grant Morrison's New X-Men.
Yeah.
He has a group where like they harvest like mutants and like take their organs and skin graft them onto themselves so they can get mutant powers.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that idea.
Yeah. I mean, it's a cool concept, but it's the thing of once you get these brains, what are you doing with the how are you going to be harvesting the brains to like enter these dreams? Like wouldn't you still have to use a machine at that point? Like what's the fucking point, dude?
He's like, I'm just going to drink brain fluid, hope for the best.
And I will say, we are a little spoiler on our one shot, we are reviewing Generation X #1, the comic. There is a line in the comic here I noted. It says, to give reality to the dreams you had the night before. And the minute I read that, I was like, oh no. They're gonna do the dream stuff, and then they did it. But I was like, okay. Immediately, I thought, because I read the book after the movie, and I was like, oh no. But yeah, this dude's a lunatic. He's a psycho. I don't think anyone would ever fund this guy if he was real. The room is literally bright pink and green as he's talking, like at all times. He's bugging out, like he's like poking the investor and fucking like clacking his teeth together like a crackhead. Like this dude's bugging out. It's literally the Riddler from Batman. Literally what they did.
They just called Tim Burton. They're like, hey, can we borrow your production crew?
Tim's like, no one liked my shit. Go ahead. So we cut back now, and Jubilee's asleep in the car. She's drooling on Angelo, and she goes, oh, I'm sorry. And Angelo looks fucking annoyed.
Like, bitch, you know how much I paid for this jacket?
The look in his face is like, get the fuck off of me, please. And then we see Xavier's Institute, which, fun fact, this is the same building they used in all the X-Mansion Fox movies. Things like X2, Days of Future Past, Deadpool 2. They all use
except
this
the first
building.
movie.
Yes, except the first movie.
Yeah. But that's pretty cool.
All the other ones. And not only that, this was also used And DC comic TV shows, things like Arrow and Smallville also use this building. This was Lex Luthor's mansion in Smallville.
I think this is when you realize, oh wow, everyone just films in fucking Vancouver.
Yeah, I was like, wow, yeah, this is Canada. Canada's so big, but I only think it's just Vancouver from everything I watch.
Well, with Vancouver, you get nice weather year round.
Yeah.
Which is surprising for Canada, and then it's also really cheap to like film in.
Canada for me is Vancouver, Montreal, Quebec, and wherever Trailer Park Boys is filmed.
Halifax.
Halifax, yeah. That's all I know. That's all.
Toronto.
Yeah, who cares about Toronto? Oh man. But yeah, so we see this mansion. It is, like I said, the same mansion you see in the later and older X-Men movies, which I think is cool. Makes sense, it's Fox, so they probably already knew the location. Which, when you think about it, you're like, this is canon. This is a Fox movie. We meet the cast here at this point. So there's this dude that walks up who looks like Sting, the singer. And his name is Kurt, and he walks up, and he immediately just starts bullying Angelo because of how he looks. And another guy comes up named Mondo, comes up and's like, "Yeah, you're a butthead." I was like, "Yo, he destroyed him."
Roasted.
Yeah, dude, get burned. So we meet the team here. We have this is Generation X joining Jubilee and Skin, also known as Angelo. We got Kurt, known as Refrax, who is not in the books. We have Mondo, who is in the books, but looks way different. Mondo is built like, he's like a Hulk-like character. Like, he's very stocky and very big and very strong. But he is in the books. We got Harley, who's known as Buff, who is not in the books, but I wish she was.
So I wrote a note here: no Chamber, no Husk, Sink, or Penance in this movie due to budgetary reasons.
Yes. So Sanai, there's a character, especially I could see it with Chamber. So Sanai, there's a character named Chamber where his entire jaw down to like his belly button is just engulfed in flames.
Jesus.
And when he's not like that, he has like
that.
Yeah, no, they're not animating that in 1996. And when he's not walking around like that, he has like a thing, like a turtleneck thing covering his mouth, going all the way up. Like, actually, they're not like, it's not like a turtleneck. It's more like a like bandages.
Lecter thing.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, he has like bandages covered. Actually, in the book, they call him the walking like Band-Aid. They call him. So yeah, I can see why he wasn't in it. But who is in this? Who actually goes on to become a very important character in Marvel to this day? She's still in books. Monet St. Croix, also known as M.
She's probably the breakout star from Generation X.
She's the breakout star of the Generation X team. She is an important part of the book, but she is in like 2 scenes of this fucking movie, and then that's it. I don't know why they did it.
Which is crazy because she becomes really, really important in the book itself.
When they did the whole phalanx whatever story, she's the one that was like first introduced. Like her, I think it was her and what's his name? He was bald. It wasn't Mondo, but it was another guy who was bald. But they were the first 2 that like showed up, and then they made Generation X after them, built around them. So she's very important, and she's like in like 5% of this movie. And when she is, she's a fucking bitch. I mean, she is in the comic too, but she's very like full of herself, which I guess they nailed. She's probably one of the most accurate things about this movie, besides one of the costumes they show.
Out of all the students, I think she's featured the absolute least.
Yeah, and I will say it is cool seeing X-Men play sports, because in the comic books, and this is Ajax probably knows too, but this is a big thing in X-Men comic books where you see the team bonding, and they're always playing basketball. So they're always playing a sport. So seeing them play football together, I was like, this is actually probably the most accurate representation of an X team. Like in a live action, because they go and fight crime, but it's about like their personalities and seeing them bond together. And one thing of that was them always playing basketball. So
was there not an episode in X-Men 97 where they're playing basketball?
There is. That's when they find out. That's the first episode. That's when Magneto shows up.
Yeah.
So, and it's cool because it's the uniforms from the Jim Lee book, where Gambit's shirtless with the hat backwards and shit. Yeah. So that's actually a little problematic with scene. That's when they're playing basketball, and he tries to kiss Rogue like against their will. And she's like, "Get the fuck off me, Cajun." Yeah, and he's like, "Oh damn, bro, she want me."
I got a raging Cajun boner for you, lady.
Woo, I'm about to make a name for myself here. Yeah, that's
Oh,
kind of their
my-
dynamic in the book, Sanai.
My
There, it's
Petit Rouge is uncontrollable right now, man.
it's more Rogue being like, I can't touch you because you might die, and Gambit's like, yo, grab on this thing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't give a fuck.
It's worth it. I'll take
Literally,
that.
that's what he says. He's like, listen, I'll listen. If there's only one way I gotta go out, I don't mind. That's how he is.
A gangster.
Dude, that's him in every fucking page that they're on together, and they eventually do get
Respect.
married, so it worked out for him. So yeah, no, they're playing football, and we see Angelo get tackled, and this man's arm gets like yanked, and he's like,
Yep.
ah, he's screaming again. It's like that's the worst power ever, where you're in constant pain.
I was about to say, I was thinking at first he's kind of like a Mr. Fantastic type dude, but
Yeah.
if it hurts,
yeah, or Plastic Man,
Yeah.
something.
In the
if
book,
it hurts like hell every time, dude, it is not worth it, man.
and in the book, he's like a Mr. Fantastic, where he can stretch. His only fear is that he doesn't know what his limit is, because he could just keep
Right.
stretching, but he's scared it's gonna like tear at some point. So that's his fear in the book. But in this, he's just like, he gets pulled like an extra foot, and he's like, ah, fuck, ah, stop. Like,
It's
what
like
the
when
hell?
you fuck up a slinky and you can't put it back.
Yes. He's like the Slinky dog in Toy Story when they stretched him out.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then as they're fighting on the floor, because then for some reason they all tackle each other on the floor. First of all,
The
flag on the
fumble
play.
recovery.
Yeah, flag on the play, unnecessary roughing. Like, this is all fucked.
Still first down.
We get a really, I think probably, actually, this was kind of on par with X-Men First Class with the representation of Banshee's powers, where he screams and they kind of nailed the effect of his screams, that like
They actually
vibration
did
look.
it very well.
Yeah,
they did it
and
very well.
honestly, it looks almost identical to how it looked in X-Men First Class. Just a little upgraded, obviously, because it was like 2012, so they had like 20-something years to improve it, but it was pretty
Oh,
spot on, I think. He has like sonic screaming powers, so for people that don't know. So they have him break it up, and then they send them to their rooms. And goddamn, Jubilee and Angela have the worst luck. Jubilee's stuck with M, who's a fucking bitch. She's like, I'm the best person here, just so you know. Don't fuck with me. If you do, you will die. Jubilee's like, all right, bitch, what the fuck? And then they cut.
Going on and on and on about like her powers and stuff like that, and Jubilee's just like, I don't fucking care. Like, just leave me alone.
And then they cut to Angelo's room, and they keep talking about like how he looks in his skin. I'm like, this is really racist. Like, they're very racist to Angelo in this movie.
Oh
And we-
boy.
And we learned that
Yeah.
at this point, Mondo's power is whatever he he can like absorb it. So if he touches metal, he can absorb metal and be as strong as metal. So of course, Angelo asking the real questions here is like, all right, what happens if you eat Jello?
Mhm.
And Kurt starts
That was a good
laughing,
one.
and he's like, stop it, you know I don't like Jello.
He got you there, fam.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, that was a fun little scene. And then it gets crazy here as Harley's in the bathroom. And Kurt's knocking on the door because she's taking forever. And he's like, damn, Harley, nice beaver. He's like, my powers might fully form. I might be able to see through this door.
Holy fuck.
To which we learn Kurt's power is that he can, like, see through things. That's his thing.
Yeah.
So, Harley, damn, Harley, nice beaver.
Oh man, I'm so glad you wrote that down too, because I did.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
My
That
next sentence was wild work from this guy.
Yeah. See, watching this movie and like you guys tell me what it was about first. I was like, I don't know if I'll walk away with any quotes that I like. Already, a gold quote coming from Kurt.
We're like
Yeah.
maybe a half hour into this movie
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? This might not be terrible.
And then she comes out and she's like, you better never look at me when your powers fully come through, you motherfucker, and like leaves. She's like, don't you dare. And then you hear Mondo quickly remarking how he wishes he was able to breathe fire, which I was like, is that a callback to Chamber?
Yeah.
Because he mentioned how he wishes he could be breathing fire, and I was like, oh, that's basically Chamber. He's walking around with fire. like psionic fire. So I was like, oh, that's kind of
Yeah.
cool if that's the case. And then we get another wild sentence here. They're in class with Emma Frost, everyone.
Yeah.
And she tells everyone they need to concentrate and relax. So Kurt goes, well, how am I supposed to concentrate and relax at the same time? To which Emma
Well,
responds, well, Kurt,
You believe that you're playing with yourself.
they believe that you're playing with yourself. And I'm like, dude, this is a horny ass school, bro. What the fuck? Who
And
says
I'm like,
that?
And, yo, if she told that to me, bruh, it would have been over.
And the best thing is they cut to Kurt and he's like, oh, okay, yeah. Like, oh, that's a good idea.
Some early instances of JOI.
Kurt really has like the most out of pocket moments
Absolutely,
like,
dude.
out of this whole movie.
So then the kids learn about this dream dimension that we learned about earlier, and they learn through simulations and shit that, you know, of what some, like, I don't know, were they doing, like, fucking, like, hacking into, like, the computer system of, like, an intruder? I guess.
Well,
That's what Angela was simulating, right?
That's what I think.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it was weird because for some reason they put him in charge of like the security for the building, and I was like, why? Like, you guys can't hire a security guard. Why does one of the students have to do it? And it's nighttime, so you just sleep while everyone else is sleeping. I mean, that's
Also,
to keep watch.
this is Xavier's Institute, so obviously the X-Men exist. Where the fuck is everybody?
Yeah, there's six
honestly.
students.
There's 6 people in this school. No Xavier. No other X-Men. Like, what? It's the worst, dude.
The summer school.
It reminds me of in Deadpool 2 when Colossus brings Deadpool to the X-Men and he's like, what the fuck is everybody anyways? It's always just you in this house. And then the next scene they cut to like all the X-Men in Xavier's office and then they close the doors.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah. Which is the same building.
Yeah, it is.
So yeah, then they're going through these simulations and shit, and then at one point, Jubilee and Angelo, they have some alone time. First of all, I think, was it Emma that pulled the gun out on Angelo in the simulation?
Oh yeah.
Where he starts panicking,
Yeah.
and she's fucking puts a gun to his head. I was like, whoa, that's crazy.
It's like you're not fucking helping here, Emma.
Use your stretchy powers, Angelo, for Christ's sake.
I was like, I'm gonna use it.
He's like, ah! So him and Jubilee eventually have some alone time, and we learn that Jubilee wants to enter her parents' dreams to find out the real reason.
Take a shot.
I think I want to find out the real reason.
The real reason why they sent her to this school. And at this point, they learn some pieces of Emma Frost's past. They learn about the machine from earlier in the movie briefly. A little foreshadowing there. And they're like, what's that machine? So now we see Russell. Oh, boy, Russell's back. And he's back in his rainbow-colored room. And he's still arguing with the investor at this point. And, dude, these guys have the same conversation every time they're on screen together. It's always, I'm going to do this. Don't do that. That sounds crazy. But I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, but we're going to lose our money. It's okay. You're an idiot. I'm smart. I'm going to enter dreams. Okay. And then that's it. It's always the same conversation. But he does call Emma Frost, though, a psycho slut who he wants to have grovel at his feet. So basically, this guy's just an evil incel. I'm learning. And then it cuts to the investor. He goes, so it's about a woman? And then it just cuts to the next scene.
There he goes. It always is.
Yeah, you're
I thought it was pretty good. This guy has some great lines in the future.
Banshee eventually allows the mutants to go out alone. They talk him into it. They're like, we all got license. We're embarrassed by having you drive us. He's like, fine, be back by midnight. Make sure you know this is something we're letting you do that we can revoke at any time. Be safe.
It's a privilege, lad.
Yeah.
It's a privilege, lad.
So
it's
then
a hoity-toity privilege.
At this point, they go out to like the clothing store. Julie's like, try this on. And Harley's like, no, I'm good. And then she's like, no, try it on. And she's like, oh, fine. And then she goes in the changing room. And we see Harley taking her shirt off, and this bitch is built like fucking Batista. She has the craziest back in the world, bro. Holy fuck.
She's got prime Jay Cutler's back.
Dude,
It's
and
insane.
what's funny too is that like the cut to the Jax person was so bad. Like it's obviously
Yeah,
someone
It
different
was.
because they were
Yeah.
like 6 feet tall, like huge. It was definitely like Nicole Bass they used in that play.
Probably was.
And then they cut outside the Mondo and Kurt. And Kurt's like, what do you think about Harley? And Mondo goes, Harley's a heifer. And then he continues to talk about how like ugly she is and all this. And I'm like, bro, like she's not even ugly. Like Mondo, shut the fuck up, dude. And meanwhile, you see Kurt and he's like, I don't think she's ugly. I think she's kind of, I think she's kind of hot.
Well, she's beautiful to me.
Literally, it's him. And what's funny too is that like, I love that Harley is just jacked, so like everyone thinks she's ugly. Meanwhile, in 2024, she would make so much money as an Instagram fitness model.
Muscle mommy.
Oh my god.
Yeah, dude. As like muscle mommy. She would make so much money off social media nowadays. Buff would
She'd
be
like,
over.
She'd be the new like lean beef patty.
Absolutely. By the way, this is Marvel. Like, this is the same world where She-Hulk exists. Like
It is, yeah.
they made it seem like because they were talking like, oh, her body is like weird under the clothes. That's why she wears baggy clothes.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be like deformed. No, she's just in shape. Like, okay.
Yeah, she's buff.
Yeah. Muscles equal looks like a guy, I guess, in 96. That was their mindset.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think that was a lot of guys' mindset like back then.
Yeah, it's crazy. She like yeah, she had like she was built like a bodybuilder. Like that back was like fucking that was like a bodybuilder pose. I was like, holy fuck. And even
Well,
Jubilee
that
came
was
in like,
just so
whoa.
ridiculous. Yeah.
She was like, and she turned around, she was like, get out. No, I'm kidding. She's like, get out of here. Ah. She covers her boobs and stuff. Oh, I failed to mention earlier when they I think it was earlier. Was it earlier coming up where they test?
The scan.
Yeah, where they test Jubilee.
Yeah, that was
Angelo?
earlier.
Yeah. So real quick, touch back on this. They were testing Jubilee and Angelo for their powers, and for some reason, Jubilee has to like get topless and naked in front of Emma Frost, and then like the test is like it's like rubbing a cotton swab like on her shoulder. Like there was no reason for her to get naked.
And I think Angelo takes a peek at her titties and he's like, not
Yeah,
bad.
he smiles. Yeah,
Just has like that sly smirk on his face.
and then she's like, "You're up next, handsome." And I was like, "Whoa, Emma." He's like 15, dude. What the fuck?
Yeah, there was just no reason for that.
And it gets worse, dude. That's crazy.
Yes, it does. Yeah, I think they were just like, we need something to keep whoever has just stumbled upon this to keep the movie on. We'll show them some bareback.
Some bare jacked back.
Yeah, some more. Yeah, they love backs in this.
We're gonna put Triple H on screen and pose, and so then they cut to like a diner, and Mondo just starts having like an eating competition with another dude there for some reason. I don't know. Listen,
with it.
guys, this happens to me all the time when I go to the diner. See me at Waffle
yeah.
House.
When you
Yeah,
want to
I
assert your
almost-
dominance.
I almost forgot my favorite part of like when they're out on the town, which happens before the diner. Kurt is reading a fucking Thong and Muscle magazine. What
Oh,
the
is
fuck?
he?
Yeah.
Foreshadowing.
It says Thong and Muscle on the magazine.
He loves his muscle people. That's why he loves Buff.
Yeah.
Holy shit! It's all coming
He
together.
eased his way into it.
He's got his kinks, man. Listen, we don't kink shame here.
Mhm.
You like your muscle mommies? Go ahead, get your muscle mommies.
Mhm.
But what I like is that when she's walking around, she has like no muscles at all. She's built like a regular girl, like every other time we see her.
Yeah.
So at this point, Angelo gets bullied by these people. The same table that was eating this banana split, 'cause he's trying to impress a girl that's with them. And they shove his face. They go, "You want to have a banana split with us?" And he's like, "Sure." And then they shove his face in the banana split, and he runs away angrily. And then he's back in the computer room at some point, and we find out like the computer is like he can't put the right password in, and he's like, "Listen, mama, I'm gonna do what they did back with the Barrio Gangsters." And I'm like, "What?"
Yo, he's like, you should have seen the emails I sent for the Vato Locos. I'm like, Were
Like,
gangsters emailing each other back then?
Apparently.
All the chain emails I sent where if you didn't send them, you'd get cursed and die. Oof.
You try
Oh.
dealing with that, Vato.
So we find out he worked at the Barrio Gangsters at some point, and he gets a code to a room, and we find out this room is holding the surgical chair from the beginning of the movie that he was talking about with Jubilee. Whoa. Emma's hiding
Oh.
it. So then Russell is back, and he's pitching his dream dimension pitch. He was told to not talk about the brains because he would just sound like an idiot, and they got to keep the funding for, the chair. So they were like, keep talking about the chair. So he exposes one of the poor people saying, hey, I was in all your dreams last night. And he turns to this like old bald guy, and he's like, yeah, you should get that dress. It fits your figure. Like, what? He just outed this dude as like cross-dressing? That's crazy. And then he tells all of them that at 12 o'clock on the dot, they're going to have explosive bowel movements. And then everyone just starts farting and burping at the same time.
Yeah.
And there's this one old lady who farts, and she looks like she's about to fucking explode. She's in so much pain, and she's like, ah. Everyone's just moaning as they're farting.
I like a good fart joke. This was so bad.
I literally
so badly done.
I literally put, what the fuck is going on?
I wasn't laughing because I found it funny. I was laughing because I was like, this is so bad.
I was
like,
laughing
this
because it
is
was so
absurd.
ridiculous. It was so, like over the top.
Like who wrote this in? Like, it didn't need to be in the movie at all. Like,
So, yeah, Russell eventually, he enters the dream realm of the investor that he's been working with to, like, prove, I guess, something. Like, they start walking into, like, a dream. And then it just cuts to Jubilee strapped in a chair. Because I guess we see, Russell is still strapped to a chair because he entered, obviously, the investor's dream. So Jubilee's strapped in hers, the one Emma had, and she's able to visit her dad's dream as they're talking about Jubilee. And she's like, Dad. By the way, did you realize the dad was talking to a picture of the mom and was talking back to him? That was wild. At first I was like, yo, is he on FaceTime? And then she's like, Dad. And he's like, oh, Jubilee, is that you? And then out of nowhere, it like cuts to Russell with her. And he's just like really weird with her. It's like touching up on her and stuff. And like threatening her. And she's like, get me out, get me out. And she she escapes the dream. And she's like, that was the worst thing I've ever been through in my life. So, of course, Angela's like, yo, put me in.
Like, you were gone for 2 seconds.
And she's like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, what did he say? He's going to go to, like, snorkeling with, like, a fine mama or some shit?
Yeah.
So then, his dream is he goes and he watches the woman sleeping in her bed from earlier. And he's staring at her. And then creepy-ass Russell shows up again. And he's like, I can help you out with this. And he basically goes inside the room. He's like, hey, honey, I got a guy for you. And he basically plays Angela's wingman. And he's like, yeah, you should get to know him. He's a real good guy. And then he goes back outside. He's like, all right, now what can you do for me? And as he's talking with Angelo, the police just walk into his office and are like, yeah, that's the guy. And they just pull him out of it. And he starts getting, like, pulled out of the dream world because we find out, like, if you are pulled out of the dream world and you don't come out of it yourself, you're, like, your brain is scrambled if that happens. So the police doing that leave
Like
him
the
basically...
Matrix.
Yeah, exactly. But as he's being pulled back, Angelo sticks his long arm out and grabs him and saves him. But now, in the real world, he's like a vegetable. He's just like brain dead and he's stuck in this dream world. Angelo's like, bro, that shit was so sick when he came out. He's like, yo, I met the coolest guy. Like, he was so nice. And then Jubilee literally goes, what are you, fucking nuts? I almost shit my fucking pants in there.
She said, I cosmically shit my fucking pants. What?
I was like, whoa, Jubilee. And then just
cosmically shit your like you just took a shit and it went in outer space. Like what happened?
Oh
yeah,
man,
that was one of those moments where I was like, "Yeah, how is this a TV movie?"
Yeah,
Maybe
when
like for
she said
HBO.
that, I was like, "Man, this really doesn't fit with like the rest of the tone of like the movie.
Oh,
'cause
and
that
it gets
came out of nowhere.
and it gets better.
Yes.
So now the team go to a fair. And we
Oh,
finally
man,
see Monet
yeah.
again. She shows up. She walks up to the punching bag. Well, first of all, she's walking, and these group of guys are like, "Hey, baby, how you doing?" Like they come out of nowhere, surrounding her. How she wasn't frightened is beyond me. And she's like, "Oh, I'm doing
the
good, guys."
Oh, the guys were looking at her like,
Yeah, they're like, la, 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 la. And I, bop, ah, ooh, ah, yeah,
Yeah.
So she walks up to a punching bag, and she punches the punching bag, and it fucking explodes,
I
dude.
was gonna say, she fucking destroys the punching bag. She just like cracks her neck and leaves.
Yeah, and then she's like, bye, and then leaves. And then Kurt and Harley, you know, they're on like I think, were they on a Ferris wheel or like in the trunk of a car?
So they were on, they were on
It was a Ferris wheel, right? Okay.
at first. Yeah.
So they were on the Ferris wheel, and they're cuddling up, and they cut to Angelo, and he meets up with the girl from the dream, and she's like, oh my God, like, it's so great. I didn't think I'd ever see you again. I'm sorry. She goes, I'm sorry I was such a bitch. I was like, whoa. And he's like, no, why would you think that? She's like, well, I knew that was going to happen. And in my head, I would have been like, yeah, you're a fucking bitch, dude. Fuck you. You gonna let them shove my face in ice cream? And as they're talking, we hear, we go back to Kurt, and he has this really weird moment. He's kissing up on Harley. You know, he's finally getting some from Harley. And she goes, I need to take your glasses off. I feel like I'm kissing Quentin Tarantino.
I was
Good
like,
reference.
What?
Good
out of all the celebrities you could reference, it was Tarantino.
The thing is, like, I've never seen him in sunglasses. Besides, like,
I don't.
That's true.
besides From Dusk Till Dawn, that's really it. Like, I don't know if
Yeah,
that's
I
what they're
don't think
referencing.
He's really well known for like wearing sunglasses.
Yeah,
like
so I was
that.
like,
don't know.
what? So his powers are kicking in. And he's like, oh, and his eyes are bugging out. And as he's bugging out, he, like, pulls away. And he, like, runs away from Harley. And she's, like, all sad now because he ran away during their kiss. We cut to Angelo. And this guy's bullying him about the type of school he goes to. He goes, what is it? I gotta bleep this. What is this? A school for...
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, dude, whoa.
Not only that, but like the voice he says it in is.
He's like, is
you
it a
could tell-
special school?
You could tell this guy had fun with the script.
And then of course Mondo shows up, and this dude calls him a pube head. That is so fucking racist, dude. You can't say that. And after he says that, he literally goes, "What? Is this more friends from your school?" And I was like, "Yo, he said it twice." Whoa, dude.
Yeah, this jock is a fucking menace.
So of course, before Mondo goes over, he grabbed a rock. So when this guy goes to punch Mondo, he fucking shatters his hand on Mondo's face, and like a little mini fight breaks out. And eventually, Emma has to break them out of jail, and they all gave fake names.
I took it there. This one says he's Eddie Vedder. This one says he's Eddie Van Halen, and this one says he's Eddie Munster.
Yeah. And who was Julia? She was Edie something.
Yeah,
It was still Ed. It was still Ed for the first
Yeah.
name. And then Emma was like, "Those are the correct names. You can release them now."
And Tom's like, great, cool, awesome.
There was a great scene like right after that fight where Monet is she sees the fight and she's like going to handle it, but behind her are the creepy dudes from earlier, and they're holding a bunch of like toys because she's winning all the games.
I missed that.
Yeah, I missed that too. That's a good
That's
lesson.
actually a great little thing.
Oh yeah, it's hilarious because they just like completely like become like submissive to her, and then they see the fight going on, and she's like, "All right, boys, handle that too."
And they're like, "Yes."
I thought like, well, what a great 180.
So at this point, Emma's pissed after bailing them out, and they're back in the school, and Emma's like, "I'm gonna Mondo, because you got in that fight, you kind of instigated that, you know, you're expelled. Yeah, I gotta expel you." And Angelo's like, "Well, listen, I'm the one that got in the argument. You gotta expel me too." And she's like, bye." And then everyone's like, "Well, if you gotta get rid of them, you have to expel all of us." To which Emma goes, "All right, get the fuck out of here. You're all gone." And then Banshee's immediately
She
like,
called their bluff.
yeah, and Banshee's like, maybe we should talk real quick. Guys, hang out outside. And she's like, "Don't you dare ever do that again. Like, there's rules to follow." And he's like, "Well, we
What
can't
are
have a
you
school."
doing?
Yeah, he's like, we can't have a school if we don't have students. Like, we need them. And he's like,
What
listen,
What are
they
you
is a fair
doing, you
point.
dumb bitch?
and he did have a fair point where he's like, last week they would not have been like in solidarity like that. They're obviously getting along now, and they feel like family almost. Maybe this is a good thing. We can still punish them though. He's like, we can ground them for a month. To which, we see Harley and Kurt outside, and she's avoiding Kurt like the plague. And he's like, come back, come back. And then Angelo is seen outside the same chick's window, and he is muy loco for doing this.
Muy
He,
loco.
yeah, he breaks the rules of his grounded sentence, and she's like, "You're not supposed to be out. You're grounded."
Listen,
And then-
man, Angelo said, if it's not snowing, I'm not going.
And
That's what Angelo said.
then they
He's-
dance in the woods.
That was a fever dream of a scene.
To which we find out. I'm like, dog, this is definitely like this is 1996. They don't got like Spotify to play. Like, there's no radio there. They're dancing to nothing. And then we find out later, oh, he's in the machine, and you're like, oh, okay, that makes a lot more sense. And then he's like, oh, that was good. You know, I got my little dancing kissy on with her. So let me go to bed now. When he goes to bed, Russell shows up in his actual dream. And he's like, oh, man, why don't you come visit me anymore, huh? Why have you left me on red this whole time? You've been in a couple dreams and you don't see me. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And he's like, listen, he basically gives him a rundown like, I'm stuck in this dream world because of when I got pulled out and you saved me. It's kind of your fault. I'm stuck here. You need to get me out of here and go get my body. And Angelo's like, well, I'm not going to fucking break into a prison to get your body. And he's told, he spills the beans about Emma Frost and all that. And now he knows that they know Emma Frost and all that stuff. And first of all, he keeps calling Angelo homeboy, too, for some reason. He's like, Angelo, my homeboy.
Yeah, but I'm sure that's the worst of it.
And then,
At least you didn't do the Tony Soprano call him the Hasidic homeboy.
so his way of convincing Angelo to break into jail and take his body to the machine to take him out of the dream realm is by threatening to, quote, mind rape Angelo's underage sister. And then he proceeds to grab her from out of nowhere and lick the side of her face.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck is happening, dude? He just threatened to mind rape an underage girl and then physically licked her face. And Angelo's like, don't
that must
do
have
it.
been a weird. Yeah, that was probably just a weird thing to shoot in general.
Like, Max Headroom, what are you doing?
I gotta lick the girl's face? What is this?
He wasn't like, oh, I'd control your sister. He literally says the words, I will mind rape your sister. I'm like,
He had a lot of words
Whoa.
this segment.
Oh boy, he sure did.
oh. So yeah, he does convince him during that. Was there any big quotes from that little spiel he went on to convince him?
There was a that I feel like maybe you should be the one to say,
Which one?
considering you're closer linguistically.
What is
to
it?
that.
I didn't note it.
I guess I'll include it in the chat we have here.
Okay. I'm scared.
How did you gloss over this?
I think I was so
Is
stuck
this-
on the face licking. Oh yes, he does call him a racial slur for Mexicans. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't catch that at all. Oh my
You
god.
were- This was on. I was like, "What the fuck?" That whole scene, and it just
Holy
kept
shit.
getting worse. From rape threats to
Racial
racial
slurs.
slurs.
So of course, after all of this, Angelo eventually does break in with his stretchy arms, and he puts the headpiece on Russell's body, and he does pull him out of the dream realm. And now Angelo's like, "Thanks for saving me, but I want to rape your brain." He like pulls him to the side. He's like, "Give me your brain." And then eventually it cuts over, and we see Angelo trapped in Russell's office with like a saw-like torture device on his head, like holding him down. And he has like a giant like razor thing, and he gets real close to the eyes. And he goes, you know what? I don't want to do this. And I think a little later he mentions why he doesn't want to kill him yet.
Well, there's
Okay,
the
it is
first
later.
time
It
he
is
has him
later.
Trapped.
Okay, yeah. So I
And-
haven't got that's a little later. I think I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Right after he puts the what is it, like the razor thingamabob like to his eyes. I think
Yeah.
he grabs like a pair of clippers and
Okay,
he
so
looks
that's.
at Angela and it's like, "Are you?" He goes, "Are
Oh
you
wait, oh wait,
circumcised?"
wait. So we are. So wait, that's later. That's later. So this is the
Oh,
first one where he has him trapped and he visits Jubilee, and he's like,
oh,
"I'm
okay, okay.
trapped. Tell Emma Frost, I love
Yeah,
you."
he's like, yeah, I'll do the surgery at dawn because
Yeah.
he's tired or whatever.
And then the
It's like,
team's
all
given
right,
the
I guess
rundown
you
of
can take a nap.
it. Literally, yeah. I guess this is the time to take a nap. Give them
Yeah.
time to come get you. So the team's
Yep.
given the rundown of the situation. Kurt apologizes to Harley and he promises that, listen, I didn't look at your vagina. I promise.
Liar.
He's like, I didn't look at your like I saw your legs and I stopped.
I didn't look at your China clit.
Yeah, I didn't look at your beaver. I'm sorry. And so she's all happy.
I did look down and say, "Hey, nice beaver."
So now she's all happy that he kept his word, his powers developed, and he didn't look at her. He respected what she asked. So that's why he freaked out and looked away. He didn't want to disrespect her. We love a respectful king. So
Yes,
now this is where Angelo gets the drill in his head. And this is when Russell stops to tell Angelo that he really hates his hair. To which then he says, I'm going to have to send you out in style. And that's when he pulls out the clippers. And then he asks Angelo, are you circumcised? I'm like, how is this correlated? How is this
Get
correlated?
this man on a list, bro.
He's trying to touch his
Too
little
much.
wiener.
Registered offender list.
And then it gets worse because then the team shows up and they, Jubilee blasts Russell and the rest of the team shows up and they start putting a beating down on him. And then they're at the top of this platform and Russell's standing there and fucking Monet shows up. And he gets real rapey with her and he's like, I should put some music on for us. And then like she punches him and he's like, I'll let you choose the music then. I'm like, stop, dude, stop. Stop. These
That
are
was
kids.
kind of funny.
Like, these are kids,
Terrible
bro.
person, but that was a funny line.
And what's worse is like he's in like a bathrobe too. This whole time.
Yeah.
I'm like, stop. And then he grabs Monet after saying that and fucking just throws her off the platform. He just yeets her off.
Yeah, it's so weird because they're all like putting this beating on him, and it's like not only is he surviving everything, but he seems to like not drag him down too much.
No.
And then he also kind of has like, abilities of his own.
Yeah,
that, like,
so
yeah,
yeah, we do find that
don't know,
he so I don't know if you guys caught this too when he gets sent through that wall. Okay. So he gets sent through the wall, but then he shows up and he's like giant.
Yeah, I thought that was
That-
weird.
that dream wall, right?
So is that what that
Mhm.
was? That was like that dream. Okay, that would make sense then, because I was like, this
Yeah.
man's big as fuck. But then he would come through the wall, or someone would come through it in their normal size, and I'm like, what is happening? So then, Angelo goes in and he pushes Russell when Emma distracts Russell, so it gives him time to jump on him and sacrifice his life to save the team and kill Russell.
Mhm.
Psych, bitch, Angelo's alive. His arm stretches up. He pulls himself out of the dream realm, and he comes back, and they're like, Angelo! And they're so happy he saved them.
It no longer hurts.
Yes, it no longer hurts him. He didn't scream at the break-in. He didn't scream now. He's learning how to control his powers. And, they get the job done. They leave the room with that big smoky light that they came in from, and they go back and they're playing a card game that has a Generation X from the comic book logo on the back of the card.
Kind of a cool reference.
Yeah, this is a cool reference. I kind of want those cards now, though. So that's kind of cool. So they're playing
Yeah,
the
I
card
kinda want
game,
those too.
and like Kurt loses, I guess, somehow. And they're playing the cards, and they're like, "Oh man!" And then Emma comes in with Banshee, and they're like, "Guys, check out your new motherfucking uniforms." And bro, it's literally just the comic book costume. Like,
I was very surprised at how well they made the
Yeah.
costume.
they literally changed nothing about the costumes.
And the whole time I'm thinking, couldn't you have just given up the fucking costumes to begin with?
The whole movie.
Like, what?
Literally, dude.
But
Yeah.
you'll see the costumes more in the next
Yeah,
movie.
that was the
Oh.
plan. Yeah, see, so now here's the how it looks. So this that logo, that's the X on the back of the card. It's a little warped, but that's how the X is on the back of the card. And then look, those are the exact costumes. The red with the yellow boots and the big elbow
Oh, yeah.
pads and shit. The blue X on the belt. And
Yeah,
on that
it was
cover,
the buff
actually,
chicken costume, right?
so on this cover you're seeing here from this deluxe edition of the July issue, it's Jubilee on the upper left, that's Monet on the right, that's Skin in the middle. He's pale in the book, and then I forgot who this was in the bottom. It's not Mondo. Mondo is a big boy. Oh, wait, is that Mondo? I don't remember now. I guess I'll have to look back at the book, but yeah, and then that's how the movie ends. It also ends. It kind of teases Russell blinking in the hospital, showing that he might be escaping the dream realm, maybe.
They were doing sequel bait.
100%. But who the
Yeah.
fuck would want to see a sequel with Russell again?
Oh my god.
Oh my god. But yeah, guys, that was Generation X. I thought it was a fun watch. You know, it was goofy, over the top, but I had a fun time laughing.
It was fun. I actually preferred the Nick Fury movie. I actually thought that was better.
Oh, 100%.
Really?
Yeah, I actually thought the Nick
Really?
Fury.
Okay, so I think entertainment-wise, I think I got a lot out of this one compared to Nick Fury.
Yeah.
But Nick Fury had that David Hasselhoff effect where it was funny because he was in it.
Right.
And also they tried to blow up the Twin Towers in that, which is crazy.
That, you know what? That's a good point.
But this one was so over the top that I'm like, I kind of loved it. You know what I mean?
I just felt I felt like the Nick Fury movie knew exactly what it was going to be, whereas this movie had no idea what it wanted to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, the Nick Fury movie to me was just, it was nothing. It wasn't a great movie. Neither was this one. But this movie had those moments where you could look back and really laugh at it. Just because out of all the outrageous shit that was said. All the
So
funny
yeah,
little
all the
tidbits.
absurd stuff.
Yeah.
Oh man. You know, I give this on the long box scale. I give this a solid 2.5, 3 stars.
Out of
I had a
5.
fun time. I wasn't bored watching it, that's for sure. Yeah, out of 5.
Yeah.
I wasn't bored watching it either.
And it's crazy though, like the cast after this
Solid
just
3.
went on to not do much. There was recently Heather McComb and Randall
That's
Slavin.
not true. That's not true. Heather McComb ended up marrying James Vanderbeek. She did something.
Oh, shit.
Well,
Dawson's Creek.
Heather McComb and Randall Slavin, Refrac or Kurt, they are the two that actually currently went on another comic podcast and actually did an interview about this movie. So they're still pretty like proud and like, you know, they like to talk about the movie still. The other cast a lot of them went to just normal lives after it wasn't picked up. Yeah, unfortunately. Like
shit.
like Angelo only
No,
did 4 things. He was the director of a Metal Gear Solid short. He was in Generation
Yeah,
X. He played kind of like
looking at it
background
now.
characters. Yeah.
The guy who
You-
plays Mondo
holy
ended
cow.
up doing a bunch of voiceover work for like video games.
He was in
and
Law
stuff
and Order
like that.
SVU.
Who?
Angelo.
Angelo?
He played Hector Ramirez in 2003.
He was in 3 episodes.
Yeah, he was. Damn.
Damn.
Dun,
Oh, wait, no,
dun,
that's
dun.
regular Law and Order.
Yeah, no, SVU
Okay,
he's in
Hector
1.
Ramirez, yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
By the way,
When I was looking through the IMDb, I was like, damn, I do not know any of these motherfuckers.
yeah, but besides, I feel like the only name one was Max Headroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't even know that at the start.
Actually, Kurt went on to be in 3 episodes of Angel.
Oh,
Oh wow.
He played the male Oracle for 3 episodes. So that's very interesting, actually. He's also in Beverly Hills 90210 for an episode.
Fucking-
That's after this, too. That means they saw this and like,
Oh.
we need him.
Oh, fucking Easter egg. The Angelo's code, his student
Yeah.
code was 90210.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was like, is that a direct reference?
It has
or-
to be,
or did
dude.
he-
It has
yeah.
to be. If
We'll
not,
see.
is that the area code in isn't that the area code in California?
90210 or postcode, whatever.
Yeah, isn't
zip
that
code.
their area code? Yeah, that's Beverly Hills area code. So I wonder if that's
Oh.
where he lives. I wonder if he's from Beverly Hills, maybe. But also,
can't be
90210
from
definitely
Beverly
existed at this
Hills.
time, so it very well could have just been a
You-
callback to that.
Do you think Kurt was on set for like 90210? He was like, guys, you gotta let me get this beaver line. Trust me.
Mhm.
And honestly, I'm looking through here. The guy who plays Mondo actually went on to continue in the superhero genre. He played the voice of many Marvel and DC characters in animated things. Most notably, he plays the voice of Cyborg in a lot of DC projects, and he's also the voice of Falcon from Marvel in a lot of projects. Things like Future Avengers, Ultimate Alliance 3. He's Falcon. He's in a bunch of video games, like The Walking Dead, Need for Speed, Rage 2, Final Fantasy, Curious George. Yeah, he's in a lot of.
He's a new shitty Saints Row.
He's in Doom. He's in the show Blackish. He's in Fallout 4. He does multiple voices in Fallout. He's a big. He's a big voice actor now.
He's in 76.
He's in Ben 10. Batman. So yeah, he's mostly known as playing Cyborg and Falcon. So yeah, like things like Justice League Doom and all that. Yeah, he continued on.
He has a very extensive career. Also, the actress who plays Emma Frost, she's been on General Hospital since 1985.
Really?
She's still making episodes for General Hospital to this day.
Oh yeah,
Whoa.
soap operas are.
Mondo.
That's soap opera money.
Mondo's in X-Men Origins, the Wolverine game, playing Boulevard Trask. He's the voice of Trask. So this isn't the only X-Men thing he's done.
Jesus.
Yeah, he has a huge, extensive IMDb, doing a lot of voice acting. So good for him, man. Whoa. He went on to do a lot actually after. Oh man, so good for him.
How does she have time to do this?
Right?
Dude, what the? Hold on. I'm sorry. Every time I see soap opera shit, I'm just like, what?
Dude, soap operas blow my mind.
She's been.
I've never watched a soap opera, but from what I understand, like they air every day, don't they?
They're daily.
Yeah,
daily show. And they're filmed like the day before or something. They're filmed like daily too, or like in bulk for like the week. Like it's crazy.
And they have to like the way they're filmed too is so weird. It's not like most shit you see.
And what's his name was on one actually. Ajax, you would know from Smallville. The guy who plays Green Arrow actually was on one. After Smallville ended, he went on to do, after his show wasn't picked up for Aquaman, he went on to join.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know that because I started watching the show This Is Us that he's in. And my mom's like, oh, that's the guy from my soap. And I'm like, no, that's Green Arrow. Stop it. That's not the guy from your soap opera.
Your mom's like, shut the fuck up, mijo.
But guys, that's not it for movies. This month in Wizard, we're looking at Wizard right now real quick before we run out of time. We have we're looking at Wizard number 75 from November 1997. So I was born, I was alive when this issue came out, and I thought, we're talking about movies, and I like looking at castings while we got Snide here because it talks about some celebrities we all know about, So they actually, I'm pulling it up here so I can send you guys the images. They decided to cast something that was called Snide. They called it a bad girl book. A very popular one at that. They decided, what if we made a Lady Death movie? And Lady Death is this cool, badass chick. She's all white hair, wears nothing. And to play Lady Death, they actually had none other than Anna Nicole Smith cast to play Lady Death as their casting call for her.
I think prime Anna Nicole Smith is a perfect choice.
Absolutely.
Because look at that picture, like right next to Lady Death. I mean, it's almost identical.
It's literally her. Yeah, it's literally her.
I'd say she's pretty much method acting now, Lady Death.
Oh my god. Then they wanted to, for this movie, they were going to put in Evil Ernie. Classic Evil Ernie.
Oh, they were? Okay.
Yes, so they wanted Garrett Magar? Maggart. He was in the show The Sentinel on UPN at the time. To play Evil Ernie. They wanted none other than Elizabeth Berkley to play Dr. Mary Young, who Snide has met.
Oh, yeah.
From Saved by the Bell.
She has more control over her eyes in this picture.
Playing Smiley, they wanted Bobcat Goldthwait.
Yeah, I've heard that name, and I don't know if I've ever seen anything he does.
Now the next casting is fucking perfection,
Yes.
and if I don't see this happen in real life still today, I'll cry. I will not die a happy man. As Purgatory, They wanted Salma Hayek. This is like
Yes.
right after From Dusk Till Dawn, too.
Yeah.
That iconic Salma Hayek scene. Playing Dr. Leonard Price, they wanted Lee Majors to play him, which I think he looks just like
Okay.
that character.
You just grow the beard. That's it.
Dead King, they wanted Kevin Bacon from Sleepers to play him. Cool little Kevin
And
Bacon.
the photo they used for it, very good choice.
Yeah, he looks
Yeah, yeah.
identical to the character there. Who was they wanted? Who was it again? Dead King was the character. And then the last place to play Chastity, they wanted Ashley Judd to play Chastity in it, which I think casting wise she looks just like her.
Yeah.
Playing
she's hot.
playing Cremator, they had Jeff Kober from The First Power.
Jeff Kober,
Playing Matthias.
but that is probably.
Yeah. They had the meter says that they look just like Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top. They wanted him
Like a
to play
motherfucker with a
Matthias.
big beard.
I guess he's gonna play Lagrange.
Then playing Pagan, they had none other than Dennis Leary to play Pagan, which
Okay.
I'm like, that's great. Dennis Leary would have been a good Joker at this time too.
I was about to say that picture doesn't look like Dennis Leary.
He was
The young-
great in Rescue Me. I loved him in Rescue Me.
Yeah, I only recognize him old.
Then Kabbalah, they wanted Tyra Banks to play Kabbalah, which I think she looks
Okay.
just like her. And if they were
I'm
gonna put her in
liking
that
his last
costume,
two. Yes,
Looks just like her, but man, Tyra sucks at acting.
I saw that movie where she was a
This-
doll.
This one though, this is actually my favorite casting choice right here.
yeah, to play Jade is it Tui
This is Tui Trang, who's
Tui
also
Train from The Crow?
better known as the original Yellow Ranger.
Oh,
That's-
wait,
that's her.
Damn.
wait, this is the one that died?
Yeah, she passed away.
Oh,
Damn.
fuck.
But she was also like the picture that they showed. She was also in the second
R.I.P.
Crow movie.
Yeah, so yeah, which is better
And
than
she
the
was
one.
good in that movie. She was really good in that movie.
But yeah, that's what they had for a Lady Death movie. I would have watched the fuck out of this movie, actually. They actually have a lot of A-list
Yeah.
actors who are, to this day, like, still A-list actors in this movie. I mean, Anna Nicole Smith, I mean, she'd be doing her part. She looks just like her. I mean, but I don't think she could play her today. Might be a little tough.
Yeah. Probably not. Yeah.
Might be a little tough.
I don't know if you want Elizabeth Berkley as a doctor because she'd always get higher on her own supply.
Yeah.
The best castings is Dead King and Purgatory. Those are the two best. Salma Hayek and Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, I love them.
Kevin
I
Bacon,
love
yeah,
Tui as
Both of them
Jade.
could still do this.
Absolutely, they both still could. Dennis Leary probably still could, cause now he's like older too, and that character looks like he has some wrinkles. So like he could probably
yeah.
still play Pagan. Does Tyra Banks still look the same? I don't think so. I don't.
I mean, she's probably still hot.
Sort of. Yeah, she's not ugly at all.
Yeah, actually, she could still do this. I think maybe. I don't know. That might be another option nowadays, but at the time though, great casting. But there we go, guys. That was our issue number 21 of the monthly dive into the long box. Thank you, Sinai, for joining us for this special movie edition. of the monthly dive
Always
into the
a
long box.
pleasure.
Absolutely.
Always a pleasure to have Sinai on.
Next
Always a
month,
blast. I love movies and I love bad movies too. Thank you for having me.
Well, next month it's going to be a fun one because it's going to be the holiday season. We're going to be in spirit, but
Oh yeah.
instead of looking at the positive and happiness of the holiday season, we're going to be looking at the worst comic book deaths ever.
Oh.
We're talking about bitches in fridges. We're talking about bitches getting their neck slapped by a spider web. Like,
Oh.
there's a lot of iconic comic book deaths that I feel like it's going to be a very morbid episode, but it's going to be a great contrast for the month of December. And this month in our one-shot, guys, we are going to be reviewing none other than this fancy, shiny chrome edition of Generation X #1, baby. Look how reflective that is in chrome.
Damn,
Ooh,
dude.
fancy. That is not Russell on the back. You're in the show. You're in the show, and you're in the show, and that's it. Oh, there's Banshee too. Actually, Emma Frost in this book looks like her in the show. She's all covered up, so it's pretty accurate. Actually, I take it back. No, she's not. Oh, she kind of is.
Yes.
She kind of covered up in this. She's here tucked in the corner. So
Mm.
she look actually no that looks just like the show with the long white pants and everything.
Yeah.
So that's actually pretty accurate. There we go. Oh, and that's how Banshee looks in the comics tonight. He's a very jacked Irishman. No face, no cool
He looks way
goatee.
cooler than that.
No cool
He's
goatee.
like the dude in the show is like some guy in a bar. It's like, you want to act? Can you do an Irish accent? No, perfect.
But thank you guys for listening, and we will see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye bye.